because I accepted someone's thought into my life. Because I knew when I did, I would get to where I needed to go, even when it was against the way I felt based on thought internally. And so rather than go out and try and sell something, I thought I could go out and just simply share my testimony based on what I know to be true and see if people were willing to get into a position to activate principles that are already written into their DNA, which will allow them the ability to live out God's law on this earth. Because what I've learned and what I know to be true is that it's not me, it's Him in me when I position myself properly. But when I try and do it myself, I might be able to do it for a period of time, but ultimately I come away from that experience with resentment, with anger, and with fear. Why? Because I'm trying to do it myself. Or I am doing it myself. In the recovery world, they call that white knuckling it. So what we're trying to do is help people, or we are facilitating environments for people to get into a position for our testimony to be used in their life for change. The whole time knowing that it begins and ends with me. And if I'm not willing to get in the next right position so that God can continue to change me, I cannot be used for greater things, or ultimately the things in which He has prepared for me. So many people allow the worry of the provision to stop them from getting in the right position, to activating the obedience to allow God for them to become greater than they already are. But what I know to be true today is that I can tell people and teach people in the physical realm and from a spiritual place, a spiritual realm, without ever using the Romans road or, the name Jesus or obedience to God's law, all good things, but those things, because of society and our church and the way things are rolling out, those things force people into a position to where they don't receive. Because they've heard it before. And they've seen the truth. Because they've tried it. They've got involved. And they've seen that it's not real. That it lacks authenticity. And it normally just produces void, searching for more of an answer. And so we didn't want to be that same thing. And we knew that there's people out there that are teaching the truth, and we're still trying to learn it all. But what we do know is our testimony. And I know that when I do certain things and position other people to do the same things, it will change their life. Creating environments for that to happen through authentic, I'm losing my ability to even say the word, authentic community, which is what I consider this to be. what we're trying to accomplish is just environments to be authentic with people and share our experience, strength, and hope. And we know that when we do that, it will position people for change by simply getting in the way of them. And it's not our responsibility of who is in front of us and how they respond. Therefore, there's no reason to count how many people raise their hand because they said a prayer that doesn't exist in the Bible. And it leads them down a path that's not going to get them where they want to go. But what we know to be true is that when we accept our current position, we can be in a place for other people to speak into our lives through their testimonies. And God can activate these principles that are already written into their DNA. An authentic community live it out in such a way that offers change. What I don't know is the end result. And that has been something that I didn't know at the beginning of this journey that I was going to have to accept. Because it forces us out on a new ledge, a new cliff, without any known security, outside of the provision in which our God has given us based on my testimony up to this very moment in time. And so what I'm trying to do is learn how to speak in such ways that is always placing people in a position to receive, rather than sharing with them through the flesh what I think I know about where they should be. So what does that mean? What it means for me anyway is that I'm accepting that it is not me who is promoting the life change. Therefore, when I position myself properly, God can use me through my words, through my presence, through my obedience for greater things. But when I present myself in a way that is based out of things that I think I know and how good I think I am, that doesn't allow Him to show up and speak to people in such a way that it changes their life. And what I know to be true is that we live in a world of pain. And no matter who you are or what you have, if you truly accept what's going on in your life, you'd have to admit that you have something that you probably want to move through. It may not be an addiction to heroin. It may simply be a relationship that was never resolved. But until you get into the right position, you don't understand that you have free will over your thought process forward, meaning that the feelings that come from those thoughts do not control you and restrict you from experience the freedom in which you were created to live in the flesh. And so it all starts right there, of that acceptance. And allowing people to speak in your life along the way that God has placed, along with what you know to be true about His Word, and making sure that you get in the next right position. What I'm sharing with you is not something that I would share with everybody. What I'm sharing is with my community of people that I know who believe in the same God that I believe in. What I'm trying to get you to do is get outside of the way in which you think about that God and how and what He wants for your life moving forward. And how you can position yourself, not because you're required to, based on what you currently think is right, but because of what you know that's written into your heart based on your testimony and experience. Craziest thing. Christ did not come here and say, do these things and your life will be changed. He lived it first. And then He shared His testimony of who He was. And when people accepted that and began to apply the principles that were written in their hearts by His Father, their life began to change. And the more they did that, the more they allowed themselves to be obedient, because obedience is not easy. It's against the flesh. But when we position ourselves properly, God is able to help us move through those next milestones, which position us for the next thing that He has in life for us, which is greater. Which is our goal, is to help people experience the same type of freedom that we have experienced in this insane life that throws a tremendous amount of pain at you. That a lot of it you're not in control of. But what I do know now is what I am in control of. And when I do those things, He has always provided. And His provision has always been enough, and then some. Because usually what I thought I needed, I didn't. And what He provided me was so much more. This thought or way of thinking can allow you to go to places that you never thought. But what I do know is that when you do it, you do it. I did say that. You do it. And you have the faith and you let someone speak into your life, and then you're obedient. Great things happen. For you as well as the people around you. And so what I know to be true is that people have pain in their life, and it usually involves something that's inside of them or something right around them. And for the next thing to happen, they've got to get in the right position so that their pain can be healed as well as the people around them. But until they accept that that pain's there, nothing can ever happen. Therefore, I always have to know my position. And it is so simple because it's all about me and God. It's not about you. It's not about anybody else. It's about my willingness to get in position for Him to show me the things in which I need to change so that He can heal my pain, restore me, and then allow that proof to be shown to others. And then when they are willing, or if they're willing, show up in their life and walk them through it. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know what the end result is, but I know that based on our experience of last week, talking to people that are so far away from our understanding of belief, but just sharing and getting in their way based on our testimony and watching Him work has been beyond understanding, but at the same token has allowed us to grow and change in more ways than we have up to this very point, which has grown our testimony and our connection with Him. This has everything to do with what you already know. And so what's important for me is to hear what you've heard. Because you've experienced, all of you, the blessing of positioning yourself in such a way that others can speak into you and God can change you. And you each have a testimony. And I would think that if you understand what God's call is on your life, then you would want to continue to position yourself for that growth as well as whatever is next so that He can use you in ways that you don't have the ability to be used. For me, it all comes down to removing things that may be negative. One of the things that I've learned recently is that everything has a frequency. And so when I present something in such a way, using words with a negative frequency, it doesn't allow individuals to be in a position to receive what God has positioned them for. So when I look internally and I'm willing to make those changes, God begins to teach me that maybe telling people that they need to surrender and be obedient doesn't help them, or as many people, get into the right position of telling someone that they need to understand their position in life, accept it, and then move forward. Acceptance and surrender is the same thing. So I need you to tell me if what I believe to be true, which word is more accepting or more receivable, and does that put you in the right position to get where you're at based on your testimony? See, because God's got me in this position where He's making me look at everything. And what He's shown me is that, you know what? I started the story with kind of doing this inventory thing, but one of those things was a marriage in a Greek mindset against things that I know to be true today. Therefore, was it God's will? And the way in which I'm able to answer that is to know my position in it, as well as the fruit that it has produced since then. So I knew, at least for that particular circumstance in my life, that I was doing everything I thought to be true, above and beyond most people around me. And it was hard, because life's hard. But along that way, we continued to get in position to where God could use other people to speak into our life to get over things that we didn't know how to deal with. And we were able to stand on the other side of it and share our victory of experience, strength, and hope. So that might be one of the ways in which we're able to check our positioning. So what are we going to do next? Same thing we did today. Same thing we did yesterday. And when God shows us what's going on, make that decision to get in the next right position, no matter what we think the result of it may be. Because if we sat around long enough, we could probably talk ourselves out of it. Based on thoughts rooted in this world. And not in Him. What I've seen is that I have to be willing to accept my position. To grow, to be better, to move on. In the spiritual realm, in the physical realm. And along that road, He has given me responsibility. Which forces me to continue to look at myself so that I can grow, as well as look into His Word and test it so that I can learn. And make sure that I'm never missing what He's trying to show me, because I'm always in the position to receive. Because it's me.